Michael Popok, Legal AF. Don't sleep and nod off on the Department of Justice in the D.C. election interference case, because just a couple of hours after Donald Trump filed his crying, complaining, whining document with Judge Chutkan saying that Jack Smith is mean to me, he wants to disclose more information about all the witnesses against me than I want him to before the election. I mean, the thing was written, so it didn't really have that whiny tone, but that's the way I read it. He also complained, Judge, you're not protecting the witnesses against me that I want to intimidate and I want to harass enough. You need to remove all of their titles and names because everybody will figure it out. It's already in the superseding indictment, idiot. It already lists most of these people by their titles. You don't think we know who the governor of Georgia was at the time that you committed the alleged crimes? We don't know who the Georgia Secretary of State is. We don't know who the Vice President of the United States is. We don't know who the Speaker of the House of Arizona is. Really? They need to be protected from who? From you? And now, I love them. You know, I'm a pretty fast writer. I can move at a very fast velocity. But Tom Wyndham, along with the team for the Jack Smith, this is a new pace, but you know what I love about them? They did the whole thing in 2.5 pages. You know what that signals to the judge? Nothing that guy said over there hurts me. Sometimes when I'm in court, for instance, and somebody does a direct examination or a cross-examination of a witness, and I don't think it hurt me at all, and I think it was sort of ridiculous, I just stand up and go, no questions, no redirect, no cross. And that signals to the jury, whoa, that witness must have been very good for Mr. Popok at the time. Same thing here, 3 pages. They call it the government's reply in support of a motion for leave to file about the redacted nature of the motion. Let me break it down for you in simple layman terms. Here's the battle. The Department of Justice filed because the Supreme Court told them to. Over 300-page tractor trailer of a filing, which laid out all the evidence and facts and witnesses and secret grand jury testimony and everybody in Donald Trump's inner circle that testified against him in the D.C. election interference case. Not because they wanted to. The prosecutors don't do that. Special counsels only file a report like this when it's their final report that's delivered to the Attorney General to conclude an investigation, not in the middle of a trial not yet set. They don't like to put on their entire case, especially before the American people on election day. It's not what they chose to do. It's what they've been commanded to do in order to overcome their burden and carry their burden assigned to them by the United States Supreme Court. To have the superseding indictment, the new indictment against Donald Trump, survive the immunity decision that the Supreme Court rendered in July. And so Donald Trump says, but you got to redact more. Redact means blackout. It means not edit out, black out to the public's prying eyes. The lawyers and the Department of Justice and Trump all have clean copies. They all see the filings. We haven't been able to report on it because it's under seal, meaning it's literally, it used to be sealed in an envelope, but it's in the clerk's office. But now it's under seal, meaning you can't get a copy of it. And what the judge is presiding over is a process in which certain factors in DC, it's called the Hubbard factors after a case, are weighed and balanced to decide how much of this information ends up in the public domain. I mean, the bias is to put all of it in the public domain because we're a public justice system. No star chambers, no secret tribunals. But that has to be balanced against other competing interests. And there's factors that have to be applied by the judge. And the DOJ in its filing a couple hours on top of Donald Trump's filing just said, they got it wrong, Judge. They don't even apply the factors. They ignore the factors. All they want to do is complain about and whine about that we're political when we're not. Where is the factor analysis? Where's the balancing act? Balancing Donald Trump's rights as a presumed innocent accused person and a future juror picker against the Department of Justice trying to protect witnesses from intimidation and harassment, and the judge's view, rightly so, in administering justice, that the public has a right to know because they have a seat at the table through review of the docket, like I just did, pulling it off the electronic sheet, or through the press, freedom of the press. In fact, as they quoted in the Department of Justice's new filing, I'll read from, on page 1, it's only a 2.5-page filing, it won't take me long, but I'll give you the commentary and the color around it. Judge Chutkan said in a prior hearing, which the Department of Justice reminded her, quote, I intend for this case to proceed in the public record as much as possible, and I will carefully weigh the relevant factors, that's the Hubbard factors, to ensure that there's sufficient reason for keeping any material off the public record. In other words, the presumption is that the document, information, witness statement, name of the person is going into the public record immediately. That's the presumption. And it's up to the parties, subject to the protective order and the Judges Balancing Act, to argue for something not to be in the public domain at this moment. Things change over time. Things that are currently blacked out in a filing may, in subsequent versions, the black tape gets ripped off. So by the time the case has been fully tried, we have the full version. So as a kid, I loved eating cereal. But as an adult, I don't want all that sugar, and most cereals don't give me the protein I need. Then I found Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein. And if you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I got big news. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious, they've already become my favorite before and after gym snack. Every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 11 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. My favorite is Magic Spoon's chocolatey peanut butter treats. And by the way, they're my wife's favorite too. They're our favorite late night snack. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/legalaf or look for Magic Spoon in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/legalaf for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. Right now, though, we have to shadow box about what's in the 300 plus pages and all the exhibits and all the documents and the grand jury exhibits. And so here's how the government just responded to Donald Trump. I just did a hot take about Donald Trump's filing. You can find here on the MeidasTouch network just about 2 hours ago. The defendant agrees with the government, as I had said earlier, about the proposed redactions of names of individuals who are not named in the superseding indictment, but argues that that does not go far enough because you have to get rid of their titles in positions. However, they said that in assessing these factors, you have to look at what's already been done in the indictment, and this is consistent with what's been done in the indictment. And they say not naming, they say this is appropriate. And this is also a reminder of all the witnesses against Donald Trump. Everybody that I list right here is a future witness against Donald Trump. Keep that in mind and if you're playing at home. You ready? Here's the titles that have already been used. Campaign manager. I don't know, Susie Wiles. Arizona's governor at the time. Arizona's House Speaker, Rusty Bauer. Senior campaign advisor. Could be Boris Epshteyn. Executive assistant. Oh, that could be a number of people. I can think of a couple that were there on Jan 6th, including some that testified against Donald Trump with the Jan 6 committee. The defendant's chief of staff. I don't know. Mark Meadows. Georgia's attorney general. Yes, there's, let's see, Brad Raffensperger. No, he's the secretary of state. It'll come to me. Georgia governor. All right. I think we know that's Kemp. And Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger. Chairwoman of the Republican National Committee. At the time, that probably was Huckabee. Michigan House Speaker and Michigan Senate Majority Leader. I don't know, but they're MAGA. And another senior advisor. And then they say, I love when they do this, that the case that Trump cited to support his position actually supports the government's position. It works in his favor, not in favor of his own argument. And then I'm like done. This is just my commentary. Finally, on last page 3, this is how the government ends it. This is the dismount, if you will, from the apparatus. The defendant's opposition includes his standard and unsupported refrain, the tired old song, that the government's position is motivated by improper political considerations. That allegation is false, just as it was false when the court denied Trump's motion to dismiss the case on the grounds of selective and vindictive prosecution. Like a year ago, Donald Trump had a major argument. The government is going after me. They're vindictive, selective prosecution. They don't go against other former presidents who are alleged to have committed crimes. Just me, because there aren't any former presidents who are alleged to have committed crimes in our modern era, other than Nixon, and he resigned. And he was then pardoned by Ford in order to avoid some of the kind of national unity problems at the time. So the special counsel's mandate is to uphold the law, Tom Windham, on behalf of the special prosecutor, wrote. It has no role or interest in partisan politics and has fairly executed its prosecutorial duties in this case. Doesn't this sound like people who work for Merrick Garland? The government's position set forth on the schedule is rooted in a faithful application of the case law of this circuit, namely a careful analysis of the factors that have been ignored by Donald Trump. Respectfully submitted, Jack Smith, special counsel. Now, there's another filing, we'll do another hot take on it, about discovery issues that have been raised in the case. But what this shows you is that Donald Trump has been wounded by the filings and the decision starting on September the 5th by Judge Chutkan, in which she set a briefing schedule, allowing the government to go first, to put in all their evidence in order for her to do her job, which was required by the Supreme Court to do a fact-based, fact-bound analysis of the superseding indictment to see if it survives the immunity decision. She can't do it any other way. But that wounded Donald Trump has been keeping him up at night, as is all of the parade of witnesses that are going to come in against Donald Trump. Let me just project us into the future of a trial in this case, to picture it. This is what keeps Donald Trump up at night as he tries to win the presidency to avoid criminal prosecution, while he tries to win the presidency in order to avoid prosecution. I'm not stuttering. I'm telling you what he's doing. He doesn't care about the electorate. He cares about whether he's going to wear an orange jumpsuit or his family's going to make enough money between now and November. That's all he cares about. Now, think of the trial. I'm a trial lawyer. Whenever I handle a case, even one where the trial is 2, 3, 4 years away, I think about the trial every day and project myself into that courtroom. There's going to be 1 week, 1 full week, where all the witnesses are former Republican officials in the inner circle of Donald Trump, one after another. Then there's going to be a week of just elected officials. Lindsey Graham, Vice President Pence, elected officials in Arizona, the former Speaker of the House of Arizona, the governor of Georgia, just elected official week. Following on the heels of insider assistance to the president of Donald Trump week. Then we're going to have a whole week of just attorneys who represented Donald Trump either as White House counsel or as private counsel, including felons and those that have lost their licenses. A whole week of that. Then we're going to have a whole week. I'm going to call it the administrative assistant or the executive assistant week. It'll just be all of those people, those underpaid, thankless people like Cassidy Hutchinson and the people that handled Donald Trump's scheduling and Miss Westerhoot and all these other people who are going to be coming out. It's going to be, we have this assistant week thing that where you give flowers and gifts to people that work for you. So he better get that ready because it's going to be a whole week of administrative assistance against Donald Trump and testifying against Donald Trump. All right, and then we go on. Can you imagine every day when that wooden door swings open and the jury gets to see somebody else, walking? It's going to be like the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. They're going to be like, wow, is that Rudy Giuliani? Is that Mike Pence? Is that Mark Meadows? Is that what Cassidy Hutchinson looks like in real life? Is that what Alyssa Griffith, the press secretary, looks like? Is that what she looks like? Hope Hicks? I always wanted to see what Hope Hicks looked like in person. Is that the former attorney general? Is that the former acting attorney general? Is that another former acting attorney general? Is that a third former acting attorney general? Because there was so much rotating group. Is that the Secretary of State and Defense? Is that the Director of Homeland Security? I always wonder what Ken Cuccinelli looked like in person. Oh my God. Is that guy still a lawyer? This is what's going to go on in the courtroom. Donald Trump is trying to avoid the inevitable. And if he gets into the White House, he fires Jack Smith and terminates this prosecution. Yes. There's no two ways around it. And he tries to do self-pardon, and then will be tied up for 3 more years in the right-wing Supreme Court if that happens, trying to decide whether he can self-pardon or not. Don't let that happen. I'm going to closely follow right here on the MeidasTouch Network everything at the intersection of law and politics, like this filing. We have so much at the intersection of law and politics after 4.5 years since we founded the show that we're bursting at the seams. It's spilling over, and we had to form a new channel in collaboration with MeidasTouch. Legal AF MTN for MeidasTouch Network. Legal AF MTN. I'm curating it. I'm executive producing the channel, bringing you everything at the intersection of law and politics that you love. Find out what 40 million people a month already know, that Legal AF is the home of law and politics commentary and analysis like no other on YouTube. I defy you to find better. Maybe equal, but not better. And with this whole new channel, we're spreading our wings. New shows, new commentators. The commentators that you know and love from the Meidas world. We're bringing them over from the Meidas universe. Superheroes without capes. Like Karen Friedman Kniflo, like Dina Dahl, like the contributors to Mistrial. And we're doing a new show you can't get anywhere else but Legal AF MTN. We're calling it Unprecedented, where we follow the United States Supreme Court from the first Monday in October all the way till the end. On Unprecedented. Free subscribe now. Help us build this pro-democracy channel in conjunction with MeidasTouch Network. We're already at 125,000 and we're 2 weeks old. Help us get to 200,000 by Halloween. Boo. So until my next hot take, till my next Legal AF, till my next exclusive content like Unprecedented over on Legal AF MTN channel, this is Michael Popok and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the MeidasTouch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.